And so next on our program is going to be some welcoming comments from our faculty speaker. And this faculty speaker, I have the pleasure of sitting on a committee with him here at the college. And he represents what many of our faculty are here at the college: excellence. Always accessible, willing to engage students. And so as you have your TC career, please remember to do that, to take advantage of faculty office hours, get to know people outside of the classroom before you need a letter of recommendation for a job or for another degree program. Make the investment in those relationships, okay? So now I'm going to bring on Professor Randall Allsup, and he's a professor, associate professor of music education.
So my sincere thanks, and it's a sincere pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the faculty to Teachers College, and I want to thank Yvonne and the organizers of this mid-year orientation for inviting me to speak with you. So welcome. You are beginning a new chapter in your life, starting a new journey. As a working teacher and with my graduate studies completed from here at TC, and with my terminal degree behind me and no school left in my future, I have to say that I envy you. I envy, if envy is the right word, the adventures that await you, the perils of new beginnings. It is not uncommon in these circumstances to think of the beauty and danger of travel. And today I'm thinking in particular of rivers. To start graduate school is to leave behind a port of safety in search of something new. I guarantee that your journey will be full of surprises. There will be twists and bends ahead, fast currents that rush you into new territories. That's why you came here. And there will be eddies that send you backwards, some that spin you in circles before letting you go. It will all go very fast. And I hope that you take time to marvel at this experience, because there is nothing like it in life. You will not be the same person you are today. So I want to talk with you about the beauty and danger of learning a trade. You have started professional school, after all, and you bring with you certain expectations that have to do with the work of teaching in schools. You are here to study a specific discipline, to learn its ins and outs, to join a community of fellow practitioners, to master its language. You may not know where the river will take you, how can you? But you have expectations that your preparation will be useful. But useful to what? And I hope that you are not too certain that you know the answer to that question. So if I may, I would like to share with you a short passage from Mark Twain's memoir, from a book he wrote called Life on the Mississippi. As many of you know, Twain grew up in the port city on this great river, I think Hannibal, Missouri. As befitting this morning's theme, Twain, as a young adult, left the security of home and a good job. He was studying to be a printer in a printing press, to become a certified steamboat captain on the Mississippi River. His job as an apprentice, he called himself the cub of an experienced pilot, was to learn the science of steamboating. Now, is anyone from Missouri here? Yeah, okay. So you know that the Mississippi is a pretty dangerous waterway. It has all kinds of perils. It has sudden changes in direction and speed. It's incredibly wide. And sometimes these changes in the water are so powerful that they actually reshape the river. Water flows in both directions. It's kind of like a fast-moving lake. It's a glorious metaphor, I think, for American democracy, but that's another presentation. So here we have a situation where steamboating was a new and important technology, and it needed a new kind of expert. So pilots were recruited and trained and given license to pilot this new technology. So this is what Twain wrote. It's about 4 minutes. He writes, "Now, when I had mastered the language of this water, and had come to know every trifling feature that bordered the great river as familiarly as I knew the letters of the alphabet, I had made a valuable acquisition. But I had lost something too. I had lost something which could never be restored to me while I lived. All the grace, the beauty, the poetry had gone out of the majestic river. I still keep in mind, he writes, a certain wonderful sunset which I witnessed when steamboating was new to me. A broad expanse of the river was turned to blood. In the middle distance, the red hue brightened into gold, through which a solitary log came floating black and conspicuous. In one place, a long slanting mark lay sparkling upon the water. In another, the surface was broken by boiling, tumbling rings that were as many-tinted as an opal. Where the ruddy flush was faintest was a smooth spot that was covered with graceful circles, radiating lines, ever so delicately traced. The shore on our left was densely wooded, and the somber shadow that fell from this forest was broken in one place by a long, ruffled trail that shone like silver. And high above the forest wall, a clean-stemmed dead tree waved a single leafy branch that glowed like a flame in the unobstructed splendor that was flowing from the sun. There were graceful curves, reflected images, woody heights, and soft distances. And over the whole scene, far and near, the dissolving lights drifted steadily, enriching every passing moment with new marvels of coloring. I stood like one bewitched. I drank it in a speechless rapture. The world was new to me, and I had never seen anything like this from home. But, as I've said, a day came when I began to cease from noting the glories and the charms which the moon and the sun and the twilight wrought upon the river's face. Another day came when I ceased altogether to note them. Then, if the sunset scene had been repeated, I should have looked upon it without rapture, and should have commented upon it inwardly after this fashion. The sun means that we're going to have wind tomorrow. That floating log means that the river is rising, small thanks to it. That slanting mark on the water refers to a bluff reef, which is going to kill somebody's steamboat one of these days, if it keeps on stretching out like that. Those tumbling boils show a dissolving bar and a changing channel there. The lines and the circles and the slick water over yonder are a warning that that troublesome place is showing up dangerously. That silver streak in this forest is the break from a new snag, and he has located himself in the very best place he can to fish for steamboats. That tall dead tree with a single living branch is not going to last long, and how's a body ever going to get through this blind place at night without that friendly old landmark? No, the romance and beauty were gone from the river. All the value any feature of it had for me now was the amount of usefulness it furnished towards the compassing of a safe piloting of a steamboat. Since those days, I have pitied doctors from my heart. What does the lovely flush in a beauty's cheek mean to a doctor but a break that ripples above some deadly disease? Are not all her visible charms sewn thick with what are to him the signs and symbols of hidden decay? Does he ever see her beauty at all, or doesn't he simply view her professionally and comment upon her unwholesome condition all to himself? And doesn't he sometimes wonder whether he has gained most or lost most by learning his trade? Now, I wish that I could turn this into a seminar and that we could talk about how you approach or understand this text. For me, I think there is great peril in studying the things we love, not least because study changes us. Like Bobby, I came from a blue-collar family, farmers and factory workers from central Illinois, and I remember in college my grandmother telling me, "Don't study too hard." I think she must be the only grandmother who ever said that. She said, "Don't study too hard." And I think what she meant by this was, don't let study change you, or at least don't let college separate you from me, or where you came from. There is the danger that you will leave a river port and never come back. Education, even especially advanced learning, cannot remain a private affair, or a private interest, or an ego-driven goal. Rather, knowledge and knowledge-making must be shared and tested out with others. Education no matter how specialized, should not separate you from people, from the public. Teachers, by point of fact, are cultural workers. But there remains a deeply personal peril to the art of specialization, to studying the things we love most. We risk explaining away the beauty, abandoning romance for reason. As a musician, I cannot tell you when this happened to me, and I don't have time to tell you about my attempts to find my way back. But sure enough, a day came when the marvels of Sonny Rollins and Johann Sebastian Bach were reduced to the safe compassing of a steamboat. The mysteries of music were reduced to a never-ending series of exercises. Technique came to replace wonder. My teachers explained music very well to me. But, inexplicably, the better I got, the more dissatisfied I became with how I sounded. The more I mastered the language of music, the more the poetry slipped away. Now, I hope you do not suspect that I am advocating some strange vision of education as perpetual naivete. In my research, in my courses here at Teachers College, and in my life, I am searching for ways to multiply meanings, to see more and to hear more. According to Twain's narrator, the sun may mean that we are going to have wind tomorrow, but it must mean something more, in spite of one's training, in spite of how one is trained to see the sun, or a floating log, or how to hear a diminished seventh chord, for that matter. I hope that you are interested, as I am, in the ways that study can be made open to multiple realities, how specialization can give voice and cause to its inquirers, and how carefully designed classrooms can uncover new ways of being with others in the world. The problem of learning a trade, whether one's work takes the shape of research, teaching, or performing, means that we must live, sometimes happily, sometimes not, with the tension between professionalization and wonder. In other words, between the certainties of a world of work and service and the ongoing questions that give meaning to life and the things we love. You are here to get a degree, and it is your job to find a new port of destination and to resume the work of teaching and service. But I hope that you do not regard your degree here instrumentally, as a mere means to an end. Your studies will be useful to the degree in which the answers you find here lead to more and richer questions. You must hold two contradictions in each hand: a longing to make meaning and to find and discover new knowledge, yes, but also an appreciation of life's incompleteness. This is one of the antinomies of education. An antinomy are those opposing contradictions that give meaning to a concept. Knowledge is never complete, but can and must be funded by wonder and mystery. Twain was a crafty writer, and he performed a clever trick in the passage I just read. Warning us of the dangers of specialization in instrumental knowledge, he could not have communicated his vision so beautifully, so openly, and so poetically if he had not learned to live with and practice the tensions that I just described. The goal is to put specialized knowledge into public use. A writer's trade, a teacher's trade, is to do this in such a way that study helps us see more of the world, not less. Pity the doctors who only see disease, where there is also beauty. Pity the teacher who only sees deficits in the children in her care. Pity the researcher whose statistics speak for themselves. The children you teach are as many-tinted as an opal. They are whole and unfinished at the same time. And you are as many-tinted as an opal, fully human, yet also unfinished, ongoing, not yet. So I leave you with this. As many of you know, Mark Twain's real name was Samuel Clemens. He took the name, this you might not know, he took the name Mark Twain from his days piloting boats on the Mississippi River. What you might not know is that in river terms, Mark Twain means that the water ahead of you is a minimum of 2 fathoms or 12 feet deep. To yell Mark Twain communicates to the pilot that the water is safe to travel on. So I say to you, Mark Twain, the water here is safe to navigate. Our resources at TC are deep, and you are okayed to proceed. So your adventure starts. Pay attention to the twists and turns ahead, and marvel when you can at the beauty and surprises that attend this new phase of your life. Thank you.